everyone. So this is for the urban design class. This is for the students or groups because you can do this exercise in groups or individually. So the groups or students that have been allocated the western side. So the aim of today is to do a kind of a virtual site visit of the area, so to give you an understanding what is this area, and also explain some of the tasks you will have to do, and you can, if you can, come back on your own, visit the site visits following what we've been saying today. So this side is along the river, as you're going to see. The perimeter is Victoria Street, Montague Road, and Forbes Street, and the river is another edge for this area if you want. So we're going to do a tour of the area. The first task you will have to do is really to map, to map the landscape according to Kevin Lynch framework. So Kevin Lynch is dividing the landscape into 5 different components: path, edges, district, nodes, and landmarks. So you have this reading on the blackboard. I've also explained it week 1 during the lecture, so you should be familiar with this framework to really map the area. So what we're going to do today is really to identify what are the paths, the edges, the district, nodes, and landmark. And once you've got understanding of those in this area, you can probably do it on your own using Google Map, or come on your own on the side if you are in Brisbane. But this work can be done remotely by using Google Map as well. Kevin Lynch is proposing another framework to evaluate the performance of urban areas, and he's dividing, there are actually 5 components: vitality, sense, fit, access, and control. So we might give you some example of those during the site visit, but this is the second task you will have to do. You have to tell us, is it good design or not good urban design according to those criteria. So vitality is really about the area having the equipment and services for people to walk safely, or to sit, or to relax. So you'll have to evaluate this area according to that. The component sense refer to the identity and also the legibility. So is it easy to has the area a strong sense of place? The fitness is, are there benches for people to relax? Access relates to, do people have everything in the area, or do they have to go outside to access cultural activities, those kind of things. The control is about, do residents have the control on the evolution of the area? So this relates a bit to the urban design process as well. Is this area really driven by developers, or do residents have a control on how they can organize public spaces or internal spaces? What kind of control do people have on the evolution of the area? So you will have to evaluate this this perimeter according to that, and you can actually rate the performance from 1 to 10. So 10 would be, if the vitality of the area is really good, you could say it's 9 out of 10. It's really bad, you could say it's 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10. It's a bit subjective, but you just have to demonstrate you understand those components that are actually useful to evaluate the performance of an urban area. And the last thing you will have to do is to choose one street as a public space as well, and describe this street, and also propose some improvement. So during the site visit, we will give you an example of one street you can use, and again, you can do that on your own, come back there, or you can, if you're not in Brisbane, you can do that on Google Maps, but we'll explain the task that you will have to do. So the bikeway, it is an amenity, but it's also, if we come back to the first framework where Kevin Lynch is identifying 5 components that are making urban landscape. So if we talk about paths, which is the first one, the bikeway would be a good example of that, because paths refer to alleys, boulevards, streets that are linking major point in the area. So the bikeway in your portfolio, you have to identify that as a path, really, because it's linking, it's going throughout the edge of the perimeter, and it's linking important points in the area. So it's really a way of going from one point to another. So this is an area well located near the river, and it's really in transformation with a lot of new buildings, as you can see here all around. So if we talk about one component identified by Kevin Lynch, which are districts. So how do we identify districts, different districts in this area? Well, one of them could be, to do that, you can look at the land use. So obviously this area is mainly residential. There's not a lot of mixed use activities or shops. So this could be what you call a residential district, because it's easily identified. You can identify it quite easily. It's just new building residential. So it's a distinct district compared to the one we've seen near the river. Because it's very distinctive. It's just high-rise buildings that are fairly new. So, when Kevin Lynch talked about district, he talked about area with kind of the same kind of use and the same kind of architecture as well. So this would be a good example of a district within your area. And when he talked about ages, which is another component, would be really the separation between two types of districts. So you might have, an area which is more mixed use or more about manufacturing activities. Then the edge would be the divide between this mixed use district and a more residential district. So edges are really what is between two districts. Just to give you an understanding how you can use this framework to identify different component of the landscape within this area. Okay, so this is an example of when you evaluate the quality of the area. You do have an outdoor gym. You've got a cycling. Component of vitality refers, cities are human settlement where people are living, don't forget that. So cities and urban environment do need to have the adequate equipment for people to live and be happy in a way. So having a public space, an outdoor gym, is being used by people. Having the view on the river is good for this neighborhood and for this perimeter. It's a good sign. I mean, it's performing well in terms of vitality because you can go outside your flat and exercise. So in that sense, I would say this area is a good example to to put in your portfolio in terms of vitality, because it's an asset for the area. It's good that people can actually exercise there, and having this equipment just near the river. Also, the view on the river is an asset as well. In the river, so everything that is about relaxation is actually a good thing, and it's vitality is what are the needs for human in terms of living in a city. Well, people need to relax and need to have quiet spaces where they can just be secure and look at the river. Those kind of things are good if we look at the vitality component. So we are on Fulber Street, which is one of the the end of your perimeter. Um, it's also a good street to do the street exercise that you have to do in your urban design portfolio. So it's good to choose a street where there's not too much traffic, so you can make your measurement and stay safe. Don't pick a street where there's a lot of traffic because everything is about safety. So this one is a good one. You can choose another one within the area, but I'll just explain the task with this one. So when you're more advanced in your urban design portfolio, Mubin and Mario are going to help you to actually represent a street and also propose some improvements for this street to make it also a nice public space. So it's both representing what the street is and making improving the street. So the kind of measurement you'll have to do, you can do that on Google Map, but if you can go on site, it's better. It's kind of measuring the building setbacks, the footpath width, the buffer space width. I mean the grass zone adjacent to footpaths if you do have any, and also the road widths, the bike paths widths if you've got some bike paths on your street. There is no bike paths on this street at all. Also the tree heights and the building heights, the heights of overhead shading, and the street lamp heights as well. So you need to do all those measurements to represent that street first. You can go on site and draw a quick sketch of the street that you want to represent if you are near the city or near West End. And the measurement of the different things that I've explained, for example, for the footpath widths or the street widths as well, you can use your feet, take landscape with your feet, which is about 1 meter. It doesn't have to be exact measurement. It can be approximate, but have those measurements ready when you want to represent the street in your urban design portfolio. You can also bring a camera or use Google Maps to take photos of critical elements, because you will have to evaluate the performance of the street as well. So this is coming a bit later when you talk about street in a lecture, but Alan Jacobs has 4 different characteristics, which has he's talking about places to walk. So are there places to walk here in the street? Not really. The footpath is pretty small, so it's still safe for pedestrian, but there's no kind of buffer between the street and the footpath. So if you evaluate this street in terms of places to walk, I would say it's pretty average, so probably 5 out of 10. Physical comfort is another component. So this can relate, especially in this climate, subtropical climate, to are there any trees for being protected from the sun? So there are some, but not everywhere. So again, pretty average, maybe toward a 6 or a 7. Definition is really about between the the width of the street and the what's around the street. So especially the height of the building. So I would say this street is really narrow compared to what are the buildings around it. So the definition is not great at all. But again, those components will be explained in class. But be prepared to use that to evaluate your street performance as it is now, and you can do that by illustrating with pictures different elements that you're evaluating. And the final component is qualities that engage the eye. So are there any design qualities or qualities that engage the eyes in this street? I would say the vegetation is quite appealing. It's quite nice. But apart from that, there is not a lot to add to the street. So when you're doing your improvement, it's actually about improving the quality of the street and also make it more like a public space. As you can see, I'm sitting on the I'm on the footpath, and there's a bit of traffic. You can hear the noise. So as a pedestrian, you're not really protected from the noise of the street. So this would be an exercise you will have to do again. Um, this could be a good example, but there are other streets you might want to choose within the area. Just make sure there's not too much traffic for safety issues.